Hello, my name is Lewis, and this is the second campaign diary of the Tainted Lands Mists of Mournton. I myself play Wallace MacDonald, who is a cleric of the Trickery Domain. So when we last left off, we were at a tree with a face carved into it and this blood-red sap dripping from its eyes and its mouth. Sir Kay and Toby had a bit of a conversation, and they identified this place to be hallowed ground and connected this to some sort of cult. I was rather suspicious of how well Toby seemed to know about this cult, and it was a brief conversation before we all found ourselves attacked by what we later knew to be called Deathroot, as it came up from the ground and tried to grab us and drag us underneath into the dirt. I myself was lucky enough to evade the tendrils and the roots. However, Wynne, our druid friend, and Ginny, the fighter, and Professor, they were not as fortunate as us, and they were grappled, and myself, Toby, and Sir Kay had to intervene. Albeit Sir Kay, as usual, dove in head first and ended up getting himself into a bit of bother, with the roots almost ripping off half of his face, doing significant damage to him. So, after this, we proceeded through the forest, discussing what had just happened, and Toby revealed that he had made a pact, but with a deity, we'll call it. I don't really believe in such nonsense with deities, and I mean, I'm a holy man, but this seems a bit otherworldly, and I'm superstitious, to say the least. We continued on for what seemed like hours, and the sky darkened and the forest got denser. We came to a pathway with two ways to go, left and right. The right path seemed like a lot of traffic had been through there, but a thick mist clouded our vision, and it seemed quite silent. However, on the other side, there was less footprints and such, but we could hear what sounded like metal on ice. A clinking sound. And we investigated it after talking and reminiscing on the pack of wolves we encountered, how hungry they looked and how strange this was. For them to attack a child, it must have meant that there was no food, no animals to hunt, meaning where are the animals? And if there's no animals, then there'd be no hunters in the woods, which, according to Toby, who is a local, would be the only people that would go through these woods. So we decided to investigate with caution. After travelling and following the noise, we came across a vast river, which was frozen over, and we could just see lots and lots of fish, and quite a large specimen of a fellow. He was sat just taking big chunks of ice with fish in it and putting it into these buckets. And he did not seem like a hunter. He was equipped with a scimitar and a crossbow. I did not trust this. We managed to circle him, and he was too preoccupied in what he was doing before to notice us, before we got his attention. He revealed himself to be a man known as Felly. They revealed that he once travelled with a man called the Red Merchant of Ashenmoor, and they were travelling and they were stopped by a group of bandits led by a man named Odo. He revealed to us that he had no love for these men, and he was essentially payment for the Red Merchant's life. And since then he had been with these men, and he spoke of how Odo would often take people such as Killian, the bard that we were looking for, off of the roads and into the forest never to be seen again. And he seemed like quite a superstitious fellow. This fella seemed like an alright guy, to be honest with you. We asked him who was at the camp and what was going on nearby, and he informed us that they had to move their camp due to an owl bear, which had holed up in a cave nearby on a hill. Now, their new camp wasn't well fortified, or as well fortified as their last one. We asked him to draw a generic layout of the map, and Toby handed him some supplies. He had parchment at the ready and some charcoal to do so. And I felt inclined to find out more information and pry more information, because all men have ambition, and you never know, truly, what a man's ambitions are. We spoke of how many men were at the camp, what state Killian was in, and we were told that he was fine. He was being held, and Otto's plans were to take him into the woods. We asked him why people were getting taken into the woods and not coming back. And he mentioned a creature known as the Lessic. Now, not even one, or our scholar type, in the group, or even Sweetroll, our little goblin friend who sent us on this quest, could identify what a Lessic was, and the longer the conversation went on, the more that we realised that this was probably an informal way to refer to this creature. Philly mentioned a couple of bandits. Tried to follow Otto once, but they too never came back. No one dared interfere with Otto. He was feared and said to be a fearsome warrior. We were outnumbered. There was around 8 men, including Felly, so 7 men, in the encampment. But this is when the madness started, and this is when the ideas started to flow. Sir Kay, bringing it up, mentioned perhaps using the owlbear. I leapt onto this thought, and we spoke of how we could lure the owlbear out, angering it, send it charging into the camp to deal with these bandits, and in the midst of the chaos, we sneak Killian away. The plan seemed a bit insane to the rest of them, and even Felly looked at me like I was insane. I mean, nobody else was going to do it, so I offered myself up as bait essentially, and I used my divine magic to create a quacking noise to make the owlbear think that there was prey outside. We walked up the path, the others as far as they would go, and they hid amongst the trees. And as I approached the hill, I could see this cave opening, and there was the carcasses of animals and scratched trees, and the smell was foul. And goodness knows how long these corpses had been sitting there for, but I was certainly not the first person to visit this owlbear's cave. I managed to get myself out of general sight, and in conjunction with that, Sir Kay managed to cast an illusion essentially. It looked to be like a humanoid. Lights, red lights, which seemed to anger the owlbear, as it came out with a screech that I will not even begin to try and emulate. I have seen these creatures once before, and they are truly majestic beasts. Beautiful, the way that they can tear a man in half so effortlessly, and the sort of lavender feathers. There's something about that just amazes me. And as this owlbear came out, I was in such a tense state of not knowing what was going to happen to me, of course. And it charged, almost like a raging bull, just following the lights blindly, and I'm amazed that it even worked. And we led it right up to the camp, and we heard the slaughter, and we heard the screams, and the people dying. And I will not lie, it's brought great joy to me. These people seemed evil, and I don't know if many of them were like Felly, but according to him, they weren't. so I felt no sympathy towards them. I was glad that they were dead. I've grown rather fond of our goblin friend Sweetrow, and his sense of loyalty to his friends, and what he does. He attempted to thieve to save his friend. Back in Ironholm, there was but one who would have done that for me. An old friend. And Killian is lucky to have a friend like Sweetrow. But as the screaming died, we regrouped, unsure how to proceed. And we suggested that, well, given that the sounds of the owlbear had also died, that perhaps the bandits had survived this encounter, and it would be a good idea to go in with Felly having me disguised as a prisoner. But as we entered, we saw tents thrown, tables flipped, food everywhere, blood everywhere. The owlbear's body lay there with its back riddled with crossbow bolts, and the victims of its attack, bodies ripped in half, faces torn off. But we found Killian, which I was happy for. He was bound to a tree, soiled himself right enough, but I don't know. I do not blame him for that. I stabilised him and gave him some healing, as he seemed that he needed it. He seemed quite roughened up and traumatised from his time. However, this commotion didn't just attract us, but wherever Otto was, he came back to see his camp in ruin. I attempted to disguise myself as Felly himself, to try and parley and reason with this captain, but he saw through my guise, unfortunately, and another battle ensued. And it happened again to me. The last time it did was probably about a year ago. And when I get like that, I do not consider myself to be a violent man, but when I get like that, everything else blocks out. When I see red, I forget everything, and all I can think about is rage. And when I came to, I had a chunk of Otto's neck in my mouth with blood dripping down my face. He was dead. So we thought. As we all gathered round the body, his head imploded on the ground essentially. And this is what horrifies me the most. I do not believe, or I did not believe, in monsters. But this creature is unlike anything I've ever seen before in my life. It was a brain, this black ichor, coming out of Otto's head and dripping off the side of its 4 legs that grew out as the brain enlarged and looked to face us. Some thoughts on the party. Toby is a very interesting fellow. His pocket watch especially. That's what he calls it, I think. I mean, I've seen one water clock before in my time, in Ironholm. But this is more intricate. This took a lot of time and compassion to make. And I don't know if this deity he speaks of granted him these powers, but it interests me, and I want to learn more. And then you have Junie, fighter, the scholarly type. She seems intelligent, but she's played her cards pretty close to her chest so far. And, well, I understand that. Don't really know what to make of her. She seemed quite distraught by the events that happened, which again, I completely understand, but time will tell what her real intentions are. And then we have Wynne, the druid. quiet type. Nice enough. I admire her work, and I wish I knew someone like her a while ago. Then we have Sir Kay. Now, never really came across Drow in my time, but from what I've been told, you can't trust them. But this guy seems to be, I don't know, his heart's in the right place, but his methods are sometimes irrational, I'll say, and he's probably going to get us killed, but, well, we all die anyway, it's a certainty. And then we have Sweet Roll. I guess he's been travelling as much as any of the rest of them have, and I really admire him, albeit I think he's a bit clingy sometimes, but he seems to have a good heart. And I'm excited to see where our adventures take us, given that we live. So thank you if you've sat for the past 16 minutes to listen to me talk. That was our second campaign diary. We stream on Mondays, 8 PM Eastern Time, live on Twitch. At the Tainted Lands, that's the name of our channel. If not, and you can't watch that, then we do upload our videos to YouTube, so we hope to see you in chat, or hope to see you on YouTube. So thank you for watching if you support us when we stream, and thank you for watching if you've watched this.